So this question goes, good morning, Mr. Paul. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Mr. Basil, residing in Enugu. This is in Nigeria. I actually run a shawarma business, which so far has been going well. I am planning on moving to a bigger space, and so far I'm the only one making the shawarma. My major problem is how to create a system that can sustain the business even when I'm not there, and also to still keep my secret recipe. Okay. I really don't know how to go about the business management, which I feel is a very important part of the business. Good. This is an interesting question. So this is somebody who runs a shawarma business. The business is doing well, thankfully. He wants to expand, and I'm sure he's thinking of replicating that success in other locations. But he has concerns. One concern is how can he grow the business without losing his trade secrets, which of course will be shawarma recipe. And how does he set up a system to run the business even when he's not there? The problem you have right now is the same problem that a McDonald's or KFC or Chicken Republic, all of these are names of fast food chains that were likely started by the founders somewhere. Just imagine when KFC started. It started by, one person created KFC, right? Colonel Sanders, right? And then he had his secret chicken recipe somewhere in the US. Now, today, you have KFC in dozens of countries. KFC has thousands of locations scattered across the world. And the recipe remains the recipe. So the question is, you're a shawarma business today and you're trying to expand. What can we learn from these fast food chains that have expanded across the world and still maintained their competitive edge, their secret recipe? So the first thing I will tell you about this is when you have a winning formula, when you have a secret formula that works for you, what you want to do is you want to productize it. Here's what I mean. So when you're making shawarma, it's very likely you mix ketchup and mayonnaise and some other things, right? And then you build up to how you actually make it. So I'll break it into two components. There's the recipe and there's the activity. The activity is how you make the shawarma. The recipe includes the ingredients and anything you add into the shawarma. So these are the two things. Activity is something like, put the cabbage on the bread, roll the bread, put it on the hot plate, leave it to stand for 5 minutes. That procedure, the activity, that's part of it. And then your recipe side. Now let me talk about the recipe. What I'm thinking is, if you want to expand, one way to expand is to find another location and hire somebody to man that location. And what you give the person is not ketchup, mayonnaise, and all the other things. That you don't give the person the items that make up the recipe, because that's how you give away your recipe. What you need to do is to have premixes. They are called premixes. You mix the entire recipe, and that's what you give to the person. So the person may suspect what is inside your recipe, but they don't know the proportions, the quantities you mixed into the recipe. All you've just given them is a recipe for shawarma, but they don't know what exactly is in the recipe and what quantities and proportions are inside of that recipe. That is one way you can protect your secret formula. What I'm telling you is not new. Many people don't know this, but this is how Coca-Cola runs its own business. In every country, Coca-Cola has a partnership with a bottling company. In Nigeria, the partnership is with the Nigerian Bottling Company, the NBC, right? Coca-Cola doesn't own the Nigerian Bottling Company. The bottling company is a separate business, is a partner of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola concentrates, that's what it's called. The concentrates are made in the US. And from the US, Coca-Cola ships concentrates to all their partner bottling companies. All the bottling companies don't really know what is inside the Coca-Cola concentrates. They don't know the quantities or the recipe. I'm sure in this modern era, if you want to distill exactly what is contained in the Coca-Cola recipe, you should be able to do it. It should be possible in today's world. But of course, they have a patent. You really cannot do that. And then they have strong legal backing. Coca-Cola has deep pockets and can come after you if you try to copy their business model. But those are not the aspects I'm talking about, because I know that as a small shawarma business, you may not be able to afford the process for a patent. you may not be able to muster enough legal muscle to go after somebody who steals your shawarma recipe. But there is still something you can learn from Coca-Cola, which is more or less the operations, how they operationalize their secret formula. So like I was saying, from the US, they send the concentrates across the world. The bottling companies receive the concentrates and then they bottle the Coca-Cola. And that's how it ends up with the consumers. So that's the exact same model I want you to follow. When you are setting up your shawarma stand, or when you start hiring people that will replicate you in the business, don't give them the individual ingredients that you use for your shawarma. Instead, in the back office, in your kitchen, in your home, mix it. Mix your secret formula as a product. And it is that product. You can even give the premix a name. You can give it a special name. You can say this one is the hot shower sauce. This one is the mild. Give it names that make it look like it's a proprietary product. So your people should not be calling mayonnaise and ketchup. No, your people should be saying things like, "Give me Sharwarma sauce." What is Sharwarma sauce? That is your premix. You've already done the mixing and all the spices and everything, and you give it a name. And when you are giving them items to make the shawarma, you give them your premixes instead of giving them the individual ingredients that make up your shawarma sauce. Because if you give them the individual ingredients, they will find out your recipe. So that's it for the recipe side. The activity you cannot really protect, and you may not need to protect, because it is the activity that will allow you, the procedure for making the shawarma, that is what will allow you expand this business without being there. So your people know that there is a secret recipe that they receive from you. They don't really know what is inside. But then you can teach them the activity and say, this is how much of the recipe you add on the shawarma. This is how long the shawarma should be on the hot plate. This is how you roll the shawarma. This is how you check the flat bread before you use the shawarma. So you let them know what the procedures are that they can do on their own, but they don't know what is inside the secret recipe. So even if you go to a KFC, for example, everybody knows that what you get in KFC is chicken. But the secret element for KFC is not the chicken. Anybody can buy chicken and make their own chicken with their own. The secret power of KFC is in the sauce, is in the crust of it, and the spices and the recipe that they have. So those recipes are pre-mixed and are sent out to KFC locations. Nobody knows what is inside of the premix. But then they teach their employees and their franchisees the method for frying the chicken. So take the chicken, dip it inside the special KFC sauce. KFC sauce, you don't really know what's inside the KFC sauce. It could be ketchup, mayonnaise, spices, all kinds, but they don't tell you. Dip it inside the KFC sauce, roll it on breadcrumbs or whatever, fry for 5 minutes, turn it, So there are two elements of a trade secret. There's the recipe and there's the procedure. You can teach the procedure, that's fine. But you cannot, your recipe should be secret and you can maintain it. Coca-Cola has maintained their recipe for over 100 years. So it's possible. KFC, for decades, they've had their recipe. You can suspect what is in a KFC chicken, but you can't know what the recipe is. So that's my advice to you. So in summary, what I'm saying is this. If stealing your recipe is holding you back from expanding this business, right? From what I've just told you now, you can create premixes that you brand under your own name. Internally, you're not selling it, but just that your people will know that this is the recipe that we use for making this shawarma, but they don't know what is inside of the recipe. Then the second part is you have the procedures. You can teach your people procedure. If you steal procedure, you can't really do much with it because everything almost always depends on the recipe. So hire people, train them on the procedure, but withhold the secret for the recipe. That is your own, that's your joker. That's your trade secret. You shouldn't spread that, right? And then you can expand within your current location. And even when you get other places where you want to expand to, you can still spread your secret recipe because they are premixes. Nobody knows what is inside of them, and still teach your people procedure. So this is one reason why we still have a lot of small one-man, one-woman businesses scattered all across Africa, right? If I really ask you, what's the big deal in KFC chicken? What's the big deal in a McDonald's burger? I'm sure there are people on this live who can do better chicken in their kitchens, right? You can do tastier chickens than KFC's chicken in your kitchens. But there's a big difference. KFC has found a way to scale up that secret recipe into a successful chain of restaurants, while yours is still a secret recipe that you're holding on to. And because you don't know how to grow the business, you think that the only way to grow the business is to share your recipe. And when you share your recipe, you've lost it. No. All these businesses I've told you about have grown, and their recipes are still secrets. And what I've explained to you is exactly how they have done it. It's possible for you to scale a business without revealing your secret recipe. And how do you do that? You premix before you ship out to your locations. You premix before you give your employees. Your employees should not see you making the premix. The premix is a private and confidential piece of knowledge that you have that you shouldn't share. So even if you're running one location, or you're running 3, or you're running 30, this thing I've taught you is something you can use. Your recipe is secret. You convert it into premixes. The procedure, teach your people, so that when you give them a premix, they know what to do. So even if somebody leaves your business and wants to start their own business, guess what? They don't know what is in your premixes. And even if they steal your premix, by the time they finish using that premix, it's gone. They cannot replicate your premix, because that is your secret formula. So premixes are how Coca-Cola is able to sell millions and billions of bottles across the world, and nobody knows exactly what is inside the Coca-Cola concentrate. Why? They make it in the US and they ship it across the world. So once their partners receive the concentrate, they just add water and a couple of things, and carbon dioxide and gas, right? And they bottle it. That's really what they do. But the secret remains with Coca-Cola, because only Coca-Cola can make the concentrate, right? So that's the model I think can work really well for your business.